I'm James Kirk,
I'm Michi Hoyer,
and you're watching simnews.tv.
Pass them both on the wet part of the racetrack.
Hello everyone and welcome back to GPVWC. We have finished the summer break and we're back here with the Supercup season for another round of fantastic close racing. We're at the Hockenheim circuit today, and if you saw the Grand Prix at Hockenheim at the weekend, you will know that this is a track that can produce excitement, and not just when it rains, of course. We've seen some fantastic racing here in the past with GPVWC. And with all of our other sim racing and real categories as well. We have just a couple of minutes to go in practice, and then we will be heading into qualifying for a short session to determine the order of the grid. So I think I'll take this opportunity to remind you of the championship standings and of how the season has gone so far. Jason Muscat is at the top with 260 points. That's 15 points ahead of Francesconi. And those two have really been the championship protagonists so far this season. Muscat has 4 wins as it stands. Francesconi has 3 victories. However, of course, Muscat's victories, with the exception of Bahrain, have all taken place in race 2. Francesconi tends to be faster out of the blocks, tends to qualify ahead and do better in race 1. In third place you have Sven de Vries. He has scored just 1 victory compared to the 4 and 3 of the top 2. However, I don't see Sven de Vries on the server today, and his car has actually been taken over by Brandon Williams. So unfortunately, I don't think Sven de Vries will be racing today, and hopefully we'll see him back for the remainder of the championship. But whatever the case, he won't be here at Hockenheim. I often see that at this point in the season, of course, because you often get drivers going on holiday and just enjoying the summer. And sometimes drivers do tend to miss a round or two at about this point in the year. 4th place in the championship is Sebastian Kozmala, who is another driver that I saw him on the server earlier, didn't I? Unless I am thinking of someone else. But whatever the case, Kozmala 4th in the championship doesn't appear to be on the server just yet, and I'm pretty sure that he was there a few minutes ago, so I'm a little bit surprised at that. Whatever the case, Sebastian Kozmala P4, followed by Dawi Tapper P5, and Tapper is another driver who isn't here yet. In fact, I can only see one Zederic car, who is, of course, our championship leader, Jason Muscat. Hopefully we get another Zederic car in, but it may well be that we only get one today. Of course, Tapper and Kozmala both also have 1 victory in this championship. other drivers in the top 10, Craig Patterson is P6. He is the top driver yet to win a race yet here with the GPWC Supercup. And he will be hoping to get a little bit closer to that. In fact, he hasn't even scored a podium yet. He's in 6th place because of his fantastic consistency. Does tend to finish high up in the points. Does Craig? He scored 2 4th place finishes so far. One in race 2 at Canada and one in race 2 at Silverstone. Oh, sorry, that was an awful sound I just made. I do apologise. Just kind of. Whatever the case, Lorenzo De Chutis is 7th in the championship. He has scored 2 podiums as of yet, but no victories. Pim van Ark is 8th in the championship. Luca D'Amelio is 9th, despite missing the majority of the first part of the championship. Kieran Shanks rounds out our top 10, however he will not be showing in the remainder of this championship, and also missed several rounds at the start, although he has 2 victories to his name. And other drivers with victories so far this year are Oliver Ellis Richardson, who also won't be showing today, I believe. And Lewis McGlade had a victory at Barcelona, as did James Saunders at Azerbaijan. Yuri Kasdorp had one at Canada, and Ben Hamlet had one at Malaysia. And Ruud Heesterbeek had one at the Istanbul circuit. That is the order so far in the championship. And in terms of the teams, it's TG leading from Zederick, Enterprise GP, Frami Autosport, and then Fusion Racing, the top 5 as it stands. So we're just about to head into qualifying. We're seeing the race director's briefing message, saying that we will be moving to qualifying in a moment. Drivers will have to wait in line at the red light at the session start. Always return to pit lane speed area before pressing escape. So you're not allowed to escape from the track to the pit lane, as you can physically do in rFactor 2. You're not allowed to do that within the rules. Escape anywhere else, don't go back out. Keep 2 wheels within the track limits at all times. That's important. The race stewards do look out for that, and there is a 0 tolerance for track limits extending in qualifying. He also says no talking in qualifying until all drivers have finished their laps. That is, of course, very important, as it's very annoying when you see someone chatting in the live race chat. And we are now getting ready to start qualifying. So the session is ticking over. I made a little mistake earlier, it seems. Brandon Williams is racing at Frami, whereas Sven de Vries is at Enterprise Pulsars. I always get those 2 teams muddled up because they have very similar liveries. Whatever the case, Sven de Vries still isn't here, and that doesn't really change that much. And the Enterprise drivers today are, you have Wopke Hoekstra in one of them, stepping down from Super League, of course, and I don't see the other one, so it may well only be Wopke Hoekstra today. And I have no excuse for messing up Frami and Enterprise, since Enterprise is a completely different team to the one I was thinking of. But whatever the case, my apologies. The session has now begun, and my goodness, it's like a train at the hairpin there, as they all bunch up. It's like the start of a race. My goodness, and that of course is all about getting into the ideal track position. Ideally, you want to be at the front of the train, because that gives you the most time to play with, and it also gives you a completely clean road, providing no one comes straight out of the pit lane into your path. And if you're behind, you're going to have to back off towards the end of this lap to make sure that you get some clean air to run it. Although this track does tend to be one where you can benefit from the slipstream, especially early in the lap. Quite a few long straights. You got the pit straight, followed by the straight just after the Nord Curve, heading down to turn 2, and then also it's completely flat out all the way through the Parabolica and up to the hairpin. So let's watch Luca D'Amelio. He's just gone through the Nord curve there, and he will be the first driver onto. Well, actually, there are cars ahead of him on this lap, so he's not the first driver onto a flying lap, but never mind. Out through turns 2 and 3, and up through the Parabolica, completely flat out here. And then, of course, you brake down towards the hairpin. Some drivers in Formula 1 have reported that the braking forces there are so strong that their tear ducts basically squirt tears into their visor, which can be quite disconcerting, but whatever the case. D'Amelio now heads into the Mercedes-Benz arena, and out through turns 9 and 10, passing a Rookie Monsters car, just getting off the racing line. This is the corner known as, I think it's now known as Mobile 1. It used to be known as the Coca-Cola curve, sorry. Or was it the other way around? Not entirely sure. The Satch curve is the banked left-hander, the one that Sebastian Vettel famously crashed out of the lead at the German Grand Prix last year. And that is a lap of the Hockenheim circuit here in Baden-Württemberg in Germany. So D'Amelio goes second as of yet. Michael Francesconi is at the top of the times. D'Amelio, though, was fastest in both the first and second sectors. He made a slight error in the third sector, wasn't quite as fast as Michael Francesconi. And a new driver as well, Alessandro Quinte, goes up into third position. Alessandro Quinte making his Supercup debut today for the racing team Schroten outfit. And I believe that may well be his GPVWC debut as well, as he doesn't appear to have a page on the site. So yeah, I think that is the first we've seen from Alessandro Quinte, and he appears to be a driver who may well prove to be a force to be reckoned with, as that's a pretty decent opening effort there from Alessandro. So a lot of the drivers who we saw setting laps at the start of the session are just ducking into the pits now and setting up for another attempt. I'm watching our championship leader, Jason Muscat, ragging it through the third sector. Smoke flying off the tyres through the Satch curve, and also into the final corner as well. And completes the lap to go P4. Still a little way off the leaders, but not an entirely bad effort from Jason. He's jumped up about 5 positions from where he was at the start of the session. And of course, an improvement is an improvement. Fabian Walter, my goodness, a plume of smoke there, almost looked like a tail out the back of his car. He's improving on his lap as well, as he now comes through the final corner, known as the Sud curve. You'll notice, of course, we have the Nord curve and the Sud curve, meaning north and south in German. And Fabian does improve his lap, goes 14th, so he jumps up 1 position in all of that. Wopke Hoekstra has stood down from Super League and has gone to the Enterprise Pulsars team, currently running in 7th position. Although improving on his lap, he's got a little bit of traffic there. That's one of the RPM Esports cars. And RPM Esports was supposed to be, as Hoekstra exits back to the pits, RPM Esports was supposed to be fielding Jake Sanson today, the commentator, who was at Silverstone commentating GP3, or Formula 3 as it is now this year. Although, unfortunately, Sanson is having wheel problems, so it's going to be the usual lineup for RPM Esports today. GT Omega RPM Esports to give it its full title, and that of course is going to be Dean Vella, and just Dean Vella because their other driver is not here. Fastest sector in Sector 1 there from Luca D'Amelio. Currently P2, less than half a tenth of a second of Francesconi. However, Francesconi is responding and also going fastest in the second sector as he. So let's watch Francesconi as he's about to complete his lap Coming around the final corner now, the third curve over the curb and completes the lap. It's at 1:16.598. Not bad at all. Here comes Luca Di Milo, fastest in both of the first two sectors here. Surely this is going to be provisional pole for Luca Di Milo as he crosses the line and goes. Yes, he does go provisional pole by just under 0.03 of a second. That's how close it is between the two of them. Di Milo from Francesconi. And that's shaping up to be a rather nice battle there between the two of them. Heading into today. Would have been great to see what D'Amelio could have done without, or if he'd made the entire series. However, he did miss the start. Alessandro Quinte was on another lap there. He started another lap, but appears to have crashed the car. He's got his front and rear wing missing, and just crossing the track there to get back to the pit lane. And we've now seen a fastest first sector of anyone from Wopke Hoekstra. He's gone purple in the first sector, and by that, of course, I mean he's fastest of anyone. I don't mean he's having some kind of anaphylactic reaction or whatever. But Wopke Hoekstra in the second sector now. We'll see what his time is like when he exits the Mercedes arena and goes towards the Mubel 1 curve. But this is looking quick so far from the Enterprise Pulsar's driver. He's only 11th so far, so he needs to improve, and that's a good second sector as well. This is definitely going to be an improvement from Hoekstra, so long as he doesn't make a big mistake, has to pass a backmarker, but does it cleanly. Giuseppe Saracino sets the fastest third sector of all and goes fourth, but we're still watching Wopke Hoekstra as he comes around the final corner to cross the line and go P5. It is a big jump there. He jumped 6 positions. His third sector wasn't quite as quick as his opponent's third sectors, and that's where he needs to find the time. But it was a good effort nonetheless, and a good improvement from Wopke Hoekstra. Other drivers within the point scoring positions. Of course, you only score points in the race. There are no points for qualifying, but whatever the case, the top 15 is Patrick Rojak, improving on his sector, his first sector, actually quicker than his rivals on track, Patterson and Kosmala. So Rojak definitely improving in that multiforce car. Completes his second sector. That's not as quick. In fact, he lost about half a second to Dowie Tapper. Oh, it's good to see that Tapper has made it in, actually. So we do have our second Zederic driver. Because he wasn't here earlier, of course. Although he is here now. And Rojak is about to complete his lap, but I don't think it's going to be an improvement from him. Indeed it isn't. Definitely made a big error in that second sector. Now, Michael Francesconi, what can he do? He's back on track. He's got a bit of a distant tow from 2 drivers squabbling up ahead of him. Hopefully won't run into traffic towards the end of this lap. Oh, in fact, may well have just run into traffic there. That looked a bit close on the exit of the hairpin. I'm not sure if he had to back out or not. But yeah, definitely appeared to lose a bit of time in all of that. And I have... Oh no, never mind. I swear to say I've got no replay, although I've got it back now. I'm just looking at his... Okay, it doesn't appear that he had to back out on the exit of the hairpin. So Francesconi's lap may well still be on here. Through the final corner. In fact, his second sector was pretty good, despite that. Crosses the line, and it's... He goes first. Okay, so Francesconi takes provisional pole. 1:16.554. That's less than 200 ahead of D'Amelio, and D'Amelio is improving again. D'Amelio about half a tenth of a second up in the first sector, about 2/10 up in the second. This is going to be a stormer from Luca D'Amelio, who crosses the line. Oh, he's lost it. He's only just gone 2 thousandths off, and it was a poor third sector from Luca D'Amelio to lose the lap. And he misses out on pole position by 2 thousandths of a second. He might still get one more chance. It all depends on if he can get back to the pits quickly and then get back out on track quickly as well. but it looked that D'Amelio was surely going to go pole position and just missed out. 2 thousandths of a second. That's how close it can be sometimes in racing. That can be the difference between first and second. And in this opportunity, in this situation, it is. Meanwhile, Giuseppe Saracino improving, and actually going pretty quickly there in the first sector. That's better than Francesconi's best first sector. Oh, half a second down in the second sector though, so he's made a mistake there. Lorenzo De Chutis jumps up into 7th position as I speak in the other TCS off racing car. And Saracino is going to complete the lap, but I doubt that'll improve. Yeah, no improvement from Saracino there. About 4 tenths of a second down, and I don't think he's going to get another opportunity unless he can go for another run on this stint. Alessandro Quinte, who had a little shunt earlier on, has glued both of his wings back onto the car and gone back out onto the track, and he's just set a purple first sector. So Quinte back on the power, pushing again into the Mercedes arena, hopping over the curb. You don't want to clip the sausage curb on the inside, as that can often cost you a lot of momentum, but you want to take as much curb as you can otherwise. Runs it slightly wide over the curb on the exit. You're not actually allowed to do that there, or at least I don't think you are, but whatever the case. Quinte, makes a big mistake in the final sector. That was looking like a good lap, and he spun it away. And also that's going to mess up his next lap too, so I don't think, in fact, he's going into the pits, so that is the end of Alessandro Quinte's session with a big mistake there. I think his lap may well have been invalid anyway. Of course, the stewards are going to check over the laps afterwards, but whatever the case. Yeah, nasty mistake there from Quinte. That curb there by the edge of the drag strip has a real drop off on the outside, and if you go over that, you're not getting it back again without losing a whole chunk of time. And of course, you've seen from Formula 1 that it's very slippery when wet as well. Not wet today though. Drivers still improving include Stephen Lexo, and Lexo is actually going quite significantly up on his personal best. He's 8th as it stands, and he's got 2 corners to go on this lap. Little bit of curb there, little bit of curb here, inside, outside, inside. And goes 3rd. Not bad from Stephen Lexo, very good in fact. Very good. Stephen Lexo up into P3 with a 1:16.825. Now the checkered flag is out. I'm just watching to see if either of our top 2 can improve. D'Amelio is not improving in either the first or second sectors, although he only needs to find 2 thousandths of a second, sorry, if he wants to pit Francesconi, and he's in the pits, so that is the end of the session from D'Amelio, and I'm imagining that the same thing's going to happen from Francesconi. Well, surely it is now, as he's just dipped a wheel or 2 into the gravel, so that's the end of that lap. I don't think it's going to matter though. I think that's pole position for Francesconi. Meanwhile, Danny Robbins goes up into 10th position. Is anyone else improving? Possibly Adrian Faber. Faber is in the final sector as it stands, and he is going to complete the lap. What can Faber do from 7th position? Opens the DRS. 3rd! He's knocked off Lexo. That's a good lap from Faber there. 1:16.694. Very fast. Final driver still on a lap is Tom Voss in the final sector now. The final lap that I think anyone can complete. And Tom Voss really needs to improve, as he is only 25th. And he comes into the pits, so no improvement for him. the driver who showed quite a bit of pace in the last Academy race at the Silverstone Grand Prix circuit. But whatever the case, that means that Michael Francesconi has taken pole position for TG Racing. Yet another pole position, followed by Luca D'Amelio. Just 2 thousandths of a second separate the two of them. Adrian Faber is third, Stephen Lexo is fourth, Alessandro Quinte is fifth, Giuseppe Saracino is sixth, and then it's Wopke Hoekstra, Stefano Zanrosso, Lorenzo De Citis, Danny Robbins, the top 10, with Jason Muscat, our championship leader, only P12, and he will be disappointed with that. Qualifying doesn't tend to be a strong point. He tends to come good in the races. But whatever the case, he's still going to be disappointed with that. He would at least have been aiming for a top 10. But whatever the case, our championship leader will start from 12th position. That is, of course, unless anyone ahead of him has any penalties. I will be able to update you of that when we go into the next session. When we go into the race session. And the order updates itself. And supposedly, it seems that rain is reported in 15 minutes. That's interesting. The reports say that anyway. That would make it interesting. We've seen quite a bit of rain this season, actually, in the GPVWC Supercup. But I don't see any for now. The sky is blue, so I'll pretend that none of that happened. But whatever the case, we are going to a break. So don't go anywhere. We will be back in just a couple of minutes for the formation lap and then the start of race 1 of 2 here at the Hockenheimring. Don't go anywhere. We will see you in a few minutes.
On the wet part of the racetrack.
Welcome back to GPVWC, everyone. We're back with the Supercup Championship and getting ready for the start of race 1. The grid order is just being configured, and then we will be heading out onto the formation lap with the updated order. Not too many penalties from last time I see. Just a couple. We've got one for a driver who's not racing today, and I think also a little penalty to. Actually, I think it may be another driver who's not racing today, so I'm not entirely sure that we have any penalties at all. Indeed, it seems like. Oh no, Alex Turnbridge. So I think Turnbridge will be starting from the back. And apart from that, I think that may be our only change to the order. Whatever the case, we're about to see because we're heading into the race session. And we can update you on the full order then. So it's going to be. Oh yeah, there has been a slight change actually because Muscat's up to 11th. Not entirely sure why that is, but whatever the case, it's going to be Michael Francesconi who takes pole position, followed by Luca D'Amelio, and then Adrian Faber, Stephen Lexo, Alessandro Quinte, Giuseppe Saracino, Stefano Zanrosso, Lorenzo De Chutis, Danny Robbins, Dawi Tapper, Jason Muscat starting from 11th position. He has some ground to make up. Sebastian Kosmala is 12th, and he's followed by Pim Van Ark, Tom Lombert, Craig Patterson, Ross Woodford, Patrick Rochak, Brandon Williams, Fabian Walter, Lewis Bickers, Tom Davison, Wopke Hoekstra. Now there's the driver with the penalty, as Hoekstra would have been starting from within the top 10. Jannis Volburn, Tom Voss, Menno Klont, Sven de Vries, Dean Vella, Alex Turnbridge, and Harry Graham. But we do have some drivers starting from the pits, Tom Voss and Harry Graham. Neither of those have made it out onto the track, and they will both be starting after everyone else. So around we go for the final time before the flag drops, before the lights go out, before we get underway here with GPVWC. This being round 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of the GPVWC Championship. Out of 16, of course, we're well and truly into the second half of the season now. We're past the summer break, and after this, we only have the Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps, Monza, Marina Bay, Suzuka, Kota, and then the Autodromo Jose Carlos Passet remaining. And this is the point in the series where it really starts to get serious, where people start really thinking about the championship, and possibly taking less risks. Although I doubt you'll be seeing this with a field as competitive as this one. Onto the starting grid we head. Francesconi takes his position at the front. Could have pulled a little bit further forwards, but whatever the case, he's in his position, as are the drivers behind him. And now we're waiting for the driver at the back to take his position. That will be Alex Turnbridge, since we've got Harry Graham starting from the pits. And now we wait for the lights. 5 red lights coming on, one after the other, and extinguishing. Off we go. Francesconi gets a good start and pulls in ahead of D'Amelio, who slots into second place. Lexo third and Quinte fourth as they head through turn 1. Everyone is clean through there. That's good to see. But here we head down into the first bottleneck, the first real pinch point, which is turn 2. Contact further back a little bit. Oh, and sideways goes Patrick Rochak. Rorschach has lost it, and someone else has gone off in all of that as well. Ross Woodford's been caught up, as has... who was it who got hit? I'll update you on that at the end. Francesconi still leading, followed by D'Amelio. Then Quinte is side by side with Lex over third. Sweeps around the outside of him into the Mercedes arena. Nicely done there from Quinte. And behind them, the rest of the field stream through. So as we head towards the end of the lap for the first time, the main change on this opening lap was Quinte passing Lexo for that third position, with the rest of the pack hot on their heels. Down into the Satch curve, you can sometimes pull an opportunistic manoeuvre, although it's quite tight into there, so it's often quite difficult to. And I think the other driver involved in the incident on the first lap was Yannis Volburn. I'm afraid Harry Graham did not take the start, so I'm not entirely sure why, but it seems that only 28 of our 29 drivers started this race. And at the end of the first lap, it's Francesconi, D'Amelio, Quinte, Lexo, and Faber, the top 5, with the rest of the field behind them. Tapper taking a look at the Tutus for 7th position, rather. Going to the left-hand side. And it would be very, very unlikely that he'd be able to hang it right around the outside there, but doesn't quite manage the switchback. Behind him as well, Muscat's making ground, gets past Stefano Zanrosso already, although Zanrosso comes back at him on the inside as well. Ahead of them, Tapper goes off slightly, and through back into 7th place goes Dawi Tapper. And Zanrosso did manage to hold that 9th position there. That was brave to keep it on the inside, and someone spun, and that is Craig Patterson in the Multiforce car, who's looped it around all by himself, just got on the lesser used, less grippy part of the race circuit, and around she went. She is in the car, not Craig Patterson, sorry. But you get what I mean. Another lap completed, and Francesconi still leads from D'Amelio, but really not by much, less than 0.6 of a second separate the two of them. And we're just about to see DRS come into play as well. This lap, in fact, so open goes the letterbox flap on the rear wing of D'Amelio's car. As also in the background, that looks like a move going on for 5th. That's Saracino going around the outside of Faber, not quite. Oh, sorry, that was Faber getting past Saracino. So Faber up into 5th position. And Saracino ducking around behind the gearbox. And in fact, rain is reported. That's interesting. That could really spice this race up. And I don't see it yet, but just got a report that there is rain on the circuit. It's a real spanner in the works if that is the case. But anyway, another lap completed, and D'Amelio is definitely getting closer to the back of Michael Francesconi. We actually have 3 DRS zones on this circuit. One between the final turn and turn 1. Another between turn 1 and 2, sorry, and another one through the Parabolica and towards the hairpin. So plenty of slipstreaming and overtaking opportunities on this circuit, and we're about to see that again as we head through the Parabolica for another time of asking. The top 3 are absolutely squished together, and look at this, D'Amelio pulls out of the slipstream. Francesconi chooses the inside line, says, if you want to go around me, you're going to have to go the long way around, and keeps the lead for now. That was the first of many attacks, I'm sure, that we've seen from D'Amelio, and he goes up the inside again into the Mercedes arena, forces Francesconi off the optimal line, although they're both off the optimal line, and this may well give Alessandro Quinte a chance to attack as well. And again, D'Amelio attacks going into the Mobile 1 curve there. That was just trying to force Francesconi into a mistake, surely, but he is so feisty. You very rarely see drivers attacking quite like this at every single corner, not just the ones where he knows he can have a real opportunity, literally everywhere. often not the best tactic, because you can sometimes end up balking your own lane and your own momentum. But D'Amelio is certainly going for it, and you have to give him top marks for commitment. Now we're back into the DRS range again. I believe that Ross Woodford came into the pits after the first lap, as he is now a long way behind the rest of the order. Menno Klontz had a bit of a spin there in the Rookie Monsters car, as the leaders did get very close into the hairpin there. Although still the order stays the same. Not by much, definitely. Guy's getting a bit sideways in the background there. That was Wupke Hoekstra kicking out the tail as he chases down Danny Robbins. And that's a change as Stefano Zanrosso spun. So Zanrosso, it seems that he lost it on his own and just tagged the rear end of Jason Muscat's car. And hopefully Muscat's got away without any suspension damage, and someone else is off, and it's Lorenzo De Chutis. So De Chutis in the TCS off car, who was running well. Oh, and there was a tap there with Dowie Tapper. So Tapper, well, no pun intended, but whatever the case, off goes De Chutis. Tags the wall and gets away with it. Goes down to 14th position. Sebastian Kosmala in the pits now, and that's early. That's very, very early. Could be for a jump start potentially. I know it gives you because you've got 3 other drivers into the pits as well. So this is strategic. Oh, as Tom Lomberts goes for a spin from within the top 15. This looks strategic to me, and that is because they are going onto intermediate tyres, so the rain is falling and they definitely feel it. And they want to take a risk. 3 drivers did that there. Oh, 4 drivers, because Dean Vella's doing the same thing. So Vella, Walter, Bickers and Kosmala all came in for intermediates on that last lap. It'll be interesting to track their progress and see how they do for the remainder of this race. Looks a bit early to me as... Oh, Quinte spin... No, never mind! The track's very, very damp! Quinte has spun, and he's been collected there by Saracino. Also off has gone Faber. It seems that everyone just wasn't prepared for how damp it was there through the Mobile 1 curve and got caught out. It was like an ice rink through there, my goodness! And I've barely even seen the rain so far, but yeah, Quinte just looped it around, as did Faber. And Saracino had nowhere to go. He tried to avoid the spinning car of Adrian Faber and slammed into the back of Quinte. No fault of any of those drivers, I expect. And Quinte, I'm afraid, is out of the race. He's lost his rear right wheel, and that is a huge shame. On his GPVWC debut, he was doing such a good job. Into the pits come Faber, Hoekstra, Van Aert, Turnbridge, Robbins, Saracino, De Chutis, Davison, Rorschach. They're all in. Zanrosso is in as well. Staying out though, our leader Francesconi, also staying out Lexo, Tapper, Muscat, De Vries, and everyone else that I didn't mention. We've also had 2 drivers out of the race, Woodford and Voss. Have they had an accident together potentially? It seems that Ross Woodford lost it through the Mobile 1 curve, which is a place we've seen a lot of people having issues, and had a lengthy accident as he shoved it into the wall at the Satch curve. And Tom Voss, did he go off in the same place? It was roughly the same place. It was actually on the exit of the Satch curve that Tom Voss lost it. So those 2 are out of the race. And also into the pits now comes Michael Francesconi. So he left out a lap longer than the guys we just saw pitting. Also in Lexo, Stephen Lexo, because Tapper is still out. So Tapper stays out. And fighting in behind. Oh, Faber going wide. And also even wider there, Brandon Williams has gone off into the Coca-Cola curve. And that's because he has no front wing. So we've had an incident there for Brandon Williams. And has he done that all by himself? Potentially just losing it in the slick conditions. That is slick in terms of the track rather than the tyres. He actually lost at the final corner. Indeed, that was just as a result of the weather. And had to do an entire lap without a front wing. Staying out there on that lap, Tapper and Muscat. So both Cedric cars staying out. Oh, and Muscat getting very sideways. And Tapper's taken the lead, actually. But into the pits came pretty much everyone else. Actually, we still got several drivers yet to stop. Tapper, Muscat, and then the top driver who has stopped is Luca D'Amelio. And I thought it was surprising that he pitted so early, but definitely not, as he has really taken advantage of this. And on his intermediate tyres, he is absolutely excelling so far. Up into third position, and I would say he is in prime position in this race, providing the rain keeps up. And the rain appears to be keeping up for now, is it? Actually, you know what? I don't see it. Oh no, I do see it, never mind. It's still raining, ignore me. Tapper and Muscat stay out for another lap. They really want this rain to stop. They're taking a risk. But it may well be a risk that pays off if the rain stops. Or, another thing that could well come into play is that if, of course, these intermediate tyres don't last, as we see there, a driver almost unlapping himself to Jason Muscat. I believe that's Lewis McGlade. Oh, spinning! It's Yannis Volburn, actually, currently running last of the runners. Almost unlapping himself, but then having a spin. Yeah, if the intermediate tyres don't last, that means they're going to have to stop again. And that could well play into the hands of these Zedric drivers who are staying out later. I believe we've just seen a move there. Wopke Hoekstra has got past Pim van Ark. Both of those run inters. And they've both swapped positions over 7th place in this race so far. Now through, down towards the Mobile 1 curve again. And again, the Zederic cars stay out. But D'Amelio is catching them hand over fist. Tapper's last lap was a 1:24.8. And D'Amelio's a 1:23.4. He's 1.4 seconds faster than him. And that is the advantage that the Inters have at this point in the race. Excuse me there. Whatever the case, Dowie Tapper and Jason Muscat are being hounded by Luca D'Amelio and Michael Francesconi, who is catching D'Amelio. Francesconi may well be the fastest driver on the track at this point in time, as Tom Davison pits for Inters. But yeah, Francesconi may well be in a prime position as well. He just needs to make sure he gets ahead of Luca D'Amelio. And he qualified ahead of him. But of course, being faster than someone and actually overtaking them are two completely different matters. So the race continues and the tension builds. The rain isn't really showing up very well, but I can assure you that it is there. Through the Nordkurve. It is getting very, very damp in places. It's difficult to see quite how damp it is getting, but trust me, it's much, much slipperier than it looks. The track is pretty much slick, and you can tell that by how the drivers are driving. Adrian Faber and Fabian Walter going side by side into the Nordkurve. That almost didn't work there. And Faber had to back out of it. And someone's had a spin, and I think that's... Oh, never mind, it was Yannis Volburn, who was again catching the leaders and almost unlapping himself, and just had a little slight little nudge with Dean Vella. But both of those have got away with it, running in 23rd and 24th positions. Oh, Fabian Walters crashed with Adrian Faber. There's been contact between the two of them. Walter was going through on the inside. Oh, and he's just... Looks as if he lost it all on his own, and I'm afraid that Adrian Faber was a completely innocent victim there. As Walter was out of control, entering the corner absolutely sideways, careered into Adrian Faber, and that's just what happens sometimes in these conditions. It's very, very difficult to keep control, especially if you're forced to go off your line. D'Amelio and Francesconi are right together now. And that's partly as a legacy of passing some traffic. Apparently we've only got 8% wetness on line as it stands, meaning that slicks are still just about manageable, although very, very tricky. And that's why you see drivers on slicks, well, they are losing time to the drivers on inters. They're not losing control completely, and they're not dropping back too much. In fact, they still have DRS enabled. So around the remainder of the lap, D'Amelio and Francesconi, not only are they close with each other, they're also catching the Zederic guys this entire time, and we may end up with a three-way. Ah! Muscat's lost it! Muscat's in the wall! Well, I said that the drivers on slicks were keeping control nicely. And I'm afraid Muscat, he was trying to come into the pit lane and lit up the rear tyres, and around it went. And that's, of course, because he had to get off the racing line, and it's so slippery off there. Only bounced off the wall, though. It doesn't appear that he's had any suspension damage. It was nose first, and he now goes on to inters. And you can see as he stopped in his garage there, you can very clearly see the rain coming down from on board his car. It's just quite difficult to see from the outside. Still, though, Dowie Tapper is staying out on slicks. This is the kind of strategy that only works if you're very brave and don't make too many mistakes. And he's going to want to keep that up until he can make his one mandatory stop in this race. And in fact, he may well be hoping that... as D'Amelio's made a mistake! D'Amelio ran wide and over the curb there. Francesconi almost had a chance to get through into the Satch curve, but the corner was just too tight for him. Yeah, D'Amelio made a big mistake there. Was lucky to get away with it without going off into the gravel. That could have been a lot worse. But yeah, as I was saying, Tapper may also be staying out so that... if it stops raining, you'll have the option to go back onto slicks and take advantage of that. It's looking unlikely at this point in time, though. Francesconi will have the DRS. He opens it, gets the toe, follows D'Amelio towards the corner, slams on the anchors, and stays third for the time being. And behind them, Kosmala and Lexo are going side by side for fourth. And Lexo gets the switchback, does he? Not quite, very nearly. Almost was able to cut back underneath Sebastian Kosmala. And he's going for it again as he takes a wider line into the Mercedes arena, hoping for a tighter line out and a better run. Now, will Kosmala be clean through the immovable one curve? This has proven to be a real accident black spot so far today. He's got away with it, that's good to see. Oh, as we go, oh no, and that's Tapper! That's Tapper and they've hit! There's contact! Tapper and Kosmala have gone off! Dowie Tapper appeared to be really slow on those slick tyres. I think he'd already made a mistake on that lap because he dropped behind the leaders. And we hadn't seen that. Yes, he'd had a spin. So Tapper had spun out of the lead on the exit of the Mercedes arena. He'd gone into the gravel. And he'd resumed in third position. So that gives D'Amelio the lead of the race. And then it seems that as Tapper... oh yeah, Tapper just went wide, lost it all on his own. And there was contact with Kosmala. They both went off. Kosmala made it to the barrier, lost his front wing. He's going to have to stop again. Tapper is in the pits as well for some inters. That's a big shame for the two of them. And Tapper, well, I think he's on inters. My game's still showing them as slicks. Has he forgotten to show tyres, or is my game just slow at updating? Sometimes it does this, where it still looks like they're on slicks when they're actually on inters, but... yeah, actually, if someone could confirm that for me. Inters. Okay, thank you very much. Lorenzo De Cheetahs made a dive on Fabian Walter, went too far wide. And he's off again as Walter comes back at him. In fact, he's kept it. Okay. De Cheetahs with the oh, never mind. Okay. I was going to say with the better run, the better momentum. But he's gone off. And Walter gets back up into 10th position. Oh, and off in the background, Lewis Bickers spinning wildly out of control into the gravel trap. You spin me right round, baby, right round. Off into the gravel. Gets going again. Whoa, very nearly collides with Dowie Tapper as he rejoins. They both get away with it. And now, again, 5th place is up for grabs. De Vries versus Van Aert. De Vries holds it. Right at the hairpin, they've just passed the back marker of Dean Vella there. My cameraman Alex Skinner pointing out that the rain effect on the halo is quite nice. Actually, yeah, I see what you mean. That is nice. Jolly good. In fact, thank you very much to my cameraman Alex Skinner for covering this, despite the fact you're slightly ill. Well, thank you for giving it your best shot anyway. Very much appreciated. Walter and De Cheetahs are fighting again, and it's almost a complete replay of what happened last lap with De Cheetahs diving through on the inside and just going too wide, and Walter getting the run. Oh, and De Cheetahs off into the gravel. Keeps it from spinning, but that's a big loss of time there for De Cheetahs. Meanwhile, the leaders are right together again. Francesconi has the DRS on D'Amelio. 0.7 per second was all that was separating them through the last checkpoint. And also close, Alexo and Hoekstra for 3rd position. We saw them going side by side a couple of laps ago. Also, I should give a quick thank you to Gerrit de Vries for sorting out some technical issues that we had before the race. That was very handy of you and very much appreciated. Hello to everyone in the YouTube chat today. Good to see so many of you tuning in as always. Over 50. That's actually a really good number for a live broadcast. Silvano Francesconi saying Sven is impressive. Indeed, Sven de Vries in 5th position, who earlier I said wasn't even driving, but he appears to have made it into the race. Has been driving quite a quiet race so far. Hasn't really got into any kind of trouble, but that's good. That's always a positive. And he's running in 5th position. Oh, has to dodge to avoid a slow-moving car ahead of him there. And that was Janis Volburn having another slide. Volburn's been in the wars so far today. Hoekstra and Lexo went side by side again for 3rd place. And Hoekstra's passed Lexo, in fact. That was into the hairpin. Lexo attempted to get him back on the exit. But it's so hard to get the power down in these wet conditions, especially when you have to go offline. It means that the switchback isn't as effective. It means that you really have to be careful when making moves like that. And that means that Wopke Hoekstra appears to have got the manoeuvre done, signed, sealed and delivered. And as we're now over half of the way into the race, I see a crashed car by the side of the track there. And it's Stefano Zanrosso who becomes another retirement. And that is because he lost control out of the final corner and crashed it into the barriers. That's the end of Stefano Zanrosso's race. And also out is Menno Klont. Now, when did Klont go out? Klont was driving one of the Rookie Monsters cars today, and he lost control on the exit of turn 3. Got over the curb, touched the grass, into the barrier. That's the end of the day for Menno Klont. So, 22 drivers remaining out of the 28 who started. It was going to be 29, but unfortunately Harry Graham did not take the start for whatever reason. And as the race continues, Jason Muscat continues to make ground. Oh, and Faber's spun! I was just about to say that Muscat was attacking Faber, but Faber's made the job rather easy for him there. By spinning off all by himself and going into the barrier on the entry to the Mercedes arena. And there is surely going to be some light suspension damage from that. Excuse me. Faber stays out though, doesn't go into the pit, so it's obviously not too bad. Of course, it's okay usually when you dink the front suspension. What you really don't want to be doing is damaging the rear suspension, because that makes the car handle absolutely awfully, especially in wet conditions. Sometimes it can be undrivable, but luckily Faber appears to have got away relatively lightly with that. So we're on lap 20 out of 33. And the order as it stands, D'Amelio leads by 1.4 seconds. That's all there is in it. From Francesconi, then it's Hoekstra and Lexo. Equally as close for third and fourth. Sven de Vries is fifth, followed by Pim van Ark, Jason Muscat, Adrian Faber, Danny Robbins, Fabian Walter. In fact, Walter is fighting hard with Lorenzo De Chutis, and Walter's off, and De Chutis goes through into 10th position. And they've got Dawi Tapper right on their tail as well. He's in 12th place as it stands. Taking a look to the inside, no room there. Oh, and Tapper dips two wheels into the gravel, gets away with it. Almost doesn't do. Behind him, Patrick Rojak is 13th. Oh, and into the pits now comes Fabian Walter. So Walter's had enough. He's going on to a fresh set of inters, I expect. As the rain is still coming down from what I can see. I think it is, anyway. Although I must say, those inters look pretty slick to me. He's definitely worn those out, and it is a fresh set of inters that he goes on to. Patrick Rojak is having a spin. He was running in 13th, round he goes. And loses a place to his teammate, Craig Patterson. So 13th is Patterson, 14th is Rojak, 15th is Bickers now. Then it's Walter, Saracino, Davison, Williams, Forburn, Vella, and Turnbridge, the 22 drivers still remaining in this race, with 17 of those still on the lead lap. Contact, De Chutis and Tapper, and they're both off. And Tapper gets through. Goodness. That was very, very messy there between the two of them. Tapper went to the outside, and then they just kind of came together. But Tapper was able to make the move stick. Slightly messy, but they get away without serious damage. Neither spun, neither went into the gravel at least. And another change there. And it's Lexo and De Vries still side by side, or side by side. Oh, sorry, it was Hoekstra and Lexo who were fighting before, so this is a new fight emerging between Lexo and De Vries ducks underneath him, uses the switchback as Lexo gets wide onto the wetter part of the circuit. And that means that the Enterprise Pulsars cars are now 3rd and 4th positions. And I should have noticed that De Vries was catching Lexo for a couple of laps there. Indeed he was, and he's got past him there. He was actually catching too fast for me to notice, ironically, but anyway. And now he comes into the pits. And that will be for a new set of inters. So Sven de Vries, who just managed to take 4th position. And I think that proves that Steven Lexo really should have pitted on this lap, as his tyres will undoubtedly be even older than De Vries's. Or even worse, rather, De Vries gets going again from the pit lane. I believe also on the YouTube stream we've just seen Sebastian Kosmala passing Lorenzo de Chutis for 11th position. So Sven de Vries exits the pit lane in 9th position as it stands. Although he's still got plenty of time in this race. I'm expecting quite a few others to make a pit stop. Not sure if anyone can make these inters last till the end of the race. Potentially. We'll see. Luca D'Amelio stays out for another lap. His tyres still seem to be okay. He's actually pulling away from Francesconi as we speak. As into the pits come Rorschach and Saracino from the lower end of the points. And Sven de Vries has already managed to pass Danny Robbins. That's quite impressive there. De Vries already on a charge. Did Robbins potentially make a mistake there on that lap? Because he certainly seemed to drop back a lot. Wopke Hoekstra in the pit lane from 6th position. And Faber. Well, Faber and Robbins in the pits. Didn't Faber just pit a couple of laps ago? No, sorry, I was thinking of someone else. So this is Faber's stop. He is in along with Danny Robbins. Both going to brand new intermediate sets of rubber. Couple of inappropriate jokes going on in the YouTube chat. Come on, guys, put yourselves together. It's okay. Also into the pits on that lap was Lewis Bickers there from 15th position. Of course, the points paying positions are 1 through to 15. So you need to make sure that you're in one of those positions at the end of the race to score points. Ooh, a little bit wide there from Sebastian Kosmala. Gets away with it okay. And the really important positions, of course, are 6 through to 10. Well, of course, the important position is P1, but it's important to be in the top 10 in race 1 as well, as the top 10 get 6 through to 10 have a chance of being put on pole position for race 2. We have a partially reversed grid, meaning the top 6, 7, 8, 9 or 10 cars are reversed, just keeping the racing and the championship close and exciting as Lorenzo de Chutis pulls into the pits for a new set of inters. Away he goes. Not having the greatest of races. He had a spin earlier on. He was looking set for potentially a top 6, but unfortunately made that mistake. And now he'll be lucky to come away with even a top. Well, he's running 14th at the minute, so we'll see what he can do with that. And now I'm just looking out for when the leaders are going to stop, as we're still yet to see D'Amelio stop, we're still yet to see Francesco stop, for the second time this is. Francesconi rather. We're still yet to see Stephen Lexo stop. Now who's the top driver that we have seen make a second stop? I think it's Wopke Hoekstra in 6th position. Indeed, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Wopke. However, of course, Jason Muscat won't need to stop again, as he made his first stop much later than everyone else. Craig Patterson's in the pits, and someone is running wide at the hairpin there. And I think that's a back marker getting out of the way. Indeed it is. Nicely done from that back marker there. I think Giuseppe Saracino also had a spin that we saw on the stream a couple of seconds ago. Oh, he did, and he also spun again while trying to get it going. That's embarrassing. And I've just had an update on why that is actually. It's because he is on slick tyres, and it's obviously not working for him, unfortunately. Another update actually is that. Oh yeah, it appears that Harry Graham. That's weird. Exited the pit lane to start the race, something like 19 laps down, and retired after 2 corners. That's weird, but whatever the case, I suppose that does technically make him another retirement from this race, meaning that we now have 8 retirements from the 29 cars who started. That's a really weird one. Yeah, whatever the case. We continue on our way. Right, when do the leaders stop? D'Amelio stays out, Francesconi stays out. What about Lexo? Lexo, I expect, is trying to go the full distance, as I expect the rest of the leaders are. Yeah, it's probably too late in the race now to make a stop. So if they haven't stopped by this point, they're probably expecting to be able to go the full distance. Who's to say they're wrong? I'm sure we'll find out in just a couple of laps' time. And this is the point where Hoekstra and De Vries really need to start pushing. They need to of course, if they're going to have a part to play in this race, they're going to have to pass the cars ahead of them cleanly and on the road. Hoekstra is up the inside of Jason Muscat towards the hairpin here. And that is his first task. Ooh, done and dusted. Slight wheel-to-wheel contact. But it's okay. Oh no, no contact, never mind. Thought I'd seen that there had been, but there wasn't any. And his next target will be Pim van Ark, about 6 seconds up the road. So, what is the ideal strategy? Is it going on to a new set of fresher inters and trying to pull the time back and make the move stick on the road? Or is it staying out on an older set of inters and going to the end? The top 4 drivers in the race at the minute will be hoping it's the latter, whereas pretty much everyone behind will be hoping it's the former. Hoekstra going very wide there at turn 1, getting over the sausage curve slightly, but getting away with it. Bounding like a kangaroo. Not that we're in Australia anytime soon, but whatever the case. Down towards the hairpin, and one of the Multiforce cars got pretty sideways that time round. and it was not Craig Patterson, meaning it must have been... Patrick Rojak. Sorry, my mind went blank there. We've also had another incident on that last lap. Brandon Williams, again missing his front wing. He's had very bad luck with keeping that nose on him today. My car's got no nose. How does it smell? Awful. Wrong joke. Whatever. Brandon Williams appears to... he just got it slightly crossed up on the exit turn 3. Knocked down the downforce hoarding and went straight into the wall on the exit. Drops down into 21st position now as it stands. And I doubt that he's going to come away with any points today, unfortunately for him. So the gap's really closing up at the front now. Hoekstra is catching... Wow. Catching Pim van Ark by... Well, what was that last lap from Hoekstra? It was a 124.4. And Van Ark said a 125.8. Hoekstra carving through the air, carving through the water, carving through the field like a hot knife through butter. And if he continues at his current pace, he's going to be right on top of Pim van Ark by the end of this lap. This is very, very close. Stephen Lexo really not that far ahead of them either. And to be honest, Jason Muscat not that far behind them, along with Sven Vries. Sorry. Whoa, and Van Ark's gone sideways. Van Ark's gone sideways, and through goes Wopke Hoekstra, who runs wide and over the curb, and through goes De Vries and Van Ark. They've gone back through. De Vries will now have an opportunity at attacking Van Ark. Van Ark stays fourth somehow in all of that. I really thought he was going to lose control, but he manages to keep it. And it appears to have been a slight game freeze that put him off the road there. That's interesting. Oh, as someone spins, that's a back marker, I think, there. I think it was Lewis Bickers, indeed. Oh, Dean Veller in the wall. Never mind, back up to the front runners. De Vries has passed Van Ark into the hairpin. Just got the better run and went around him on the outside. And Hoekstra, oh, side by side with him into the Mercedes arena, goes right around the outside of him. And that's the superior grip that these newer intermediate tyres have. And they're leaving Van Ark in the dust. And the next target is going to be Sven De Vries, just a couple of seconds up the road. Oh, as Bickers spins again. Twice in one lap for Bickers. That's a shame. His chance of points is very much going away from him here. Hoekstra right on the back of his teammate De Vries. Looks to be the quicker of the two at this point in time. Although De Vries overtook him cleanly, and I don't think there are any team orders at that team. DRS open on the back of Hoekstra's car. No, it isn't, because it got disabled. Excuse me. So into the Mercedes arena. And I don't think they're going to quite have enough time to catch up to Stephen Lexo, who is about 5 seconds up the road from them at this point in time. However, it does seem that this was absolutely the right strategy to go onto for the Enterprise Pulsars cars. Going onto that fresher intermediate rubber and their car has absolutely excelled in it. Right, let's keep a... Okay, never mind. That gap is definitely not going to come down quick enough since we are now on the final lap of this race. I should point out before this race ends that after this one we do have one more today. A shorter race. It's going to be a partially reversed grid, so don't go anywhere after this. But we are indeed on the final lap of the race. Luca D'Amelio has driven utterly fantastically. He was second off the start and was one of the earlier drivers to pit for Inters. It worked out very, very well for him. Oh, as we have got more fighting going on further back, but I'll update you on that after the finish, because Luca D'Amelio only has a couple of corners remaining in this race. Final corner for Luca D'Amelio, and a stellar performance comes to a close with a victory. Luca D'Amelio wins for Fusion Racing. Very, very well done. Michael Francesconi is coming through the final corner to finish second place. And he did lose a lot of time at the end there. I think he may have made a mistake a couple of laps ago. But anyway, keeps second. Steven Lexo is third. Sven de Vries is fourth, followed by Wopke Hoekstra. Jason Muscat gets fifth from Pim van Ark at the end. Dawi Tapa is going to be P8. And then it's going to be Sebastian Kosmala P9. And Adrian Faber will be P10. There we go. 11th place Danny Robbins, 12th place Fabian Walter. Both of those bring points home and are the last two drivers on the lead lap of the race. And also scoring points but a lap down were Craig Patterson and Tom Davison and Patrick Rochak. And just outside of the points, missing out were Lewis Bickers, Yannis Vorburn and Lorenzo Tuchitis, and then 2 laps down were Alex Turnbridge and Dean Vella. And our retirements, of course, were Brandon Williams, Giuseppe Saracino, Stefano Zanrosso, Menno Klont, Tom Lombert, Alessandro Quinte, Tom Voss, Ross Woodford, and Harry Graham. So that's the lot. That's race over. And actually, Craig Patterson says sorry about that Francesconi. So potentially the two of them making contact later on in the race. And that may well be why Francesconi lost so much time. Whatever the case, Francesconi did not lose a position in that. And that's the lot from race 1 here. But don't go anywhere, as we do still have a second race coming up. What a fantastic drive that was from Luca D'Amelio to take the victory. Who will take it in race 2? Find out in just a couple of minutes' time after the break. Hello and welcome back to GPVWC Supercup round 10 of the Supercup Championship, meaning races 19 and 20. Goodness, the season's flown so far, and we've still got 6 rounds to go after this one. But in race 1, it was, of course, Luca D'Amelio who scored his first victory of the season in fantastic fashion, taking advantage of the weather, taking advantage of his strategy, and pulling it off absolutely perfectly. It was a great performance from him. Francesconi also did a good job in second place, although I'm sure he'll be pretty disappointed with that, since he started on pole. David Yunt says no 6th, Murray Penny. What do you mean, Murray? Yeah, what do you mean? It's not round 6, and I know that for a fact because, well, it's round 10. Whatever the case. Not sure if he's just winding me up there, but whatever the case. We then, of course, had Francesconi in second place. And Stephen Lexo taking a very nice third place in all of that as well. Is that Lexo's first podium of the year? No, it's not, because he actually finished third place at race 1 at Monaco as well, which was his first race of the season, as he joined a couple of rounds late. So far this year, he's also had 2 podiums in Formula Challenge. So Stephen Lexo, a pretty new driver to GPWC. This is actually his first season with us, yet already delivering some really quite decent results. Better than I could ever hope for in a million years. And doing a really, really good job. Okay, just to clear up what David Yunt was saying there. Apparently, I said that Muscat took P5 from Van Aert at the end, when he actually took P6. So, yeah, massive difference, obviously, and I apologise profusely. But whatever the case, he did indeed finish 6th in the end, as 4th and 5th places were taken by the Enterprise Pulsar's cars. Rodrigo Carvalho says, an ST in the podium. Ah, yeah, fantastic performance from the ST Racing guys there. Stephen Lexo did a great job to come third. Only one ST Racing car actually on the grid today. That's a bit of a shame, but he certainly did a really good job there. Just down, it says Lexo is the saviour ST needed. Indeed, ST have not had the greatest of years so far, but Stephen Lexo really delivered for them in race 1 there. Excellent job from him. Silvano Francesconi says, "Grande Luca." Good to see that. Silvano there supporting drivers even when they're not. First pick for favourite. Of course, Silvano I expect will be cheering on Michael Francesconi primarily, but yeah, good to see the sportsmanship in the YouTube chat there. Francesco Geniale, sorry if I pronounced that wrong, said Luca sealed Emilio strikes again in wet conditions. That's an interesting nickname, jolly good. But not completely undeserved, obviously. did a great job today to finish P1. And I'm not entirely sure what the reverse grid number is yet. I am just going to have a look if I can. Reverse grid number is 8, so Dowie Tapper will be on pole position for race 2 here. And that will mean, I think, yeah, Tapper ahead of Van Ark, Muscat, Hoekstra, De Vries, Lexo, Francesconi, and D'Amelio. The top 8, those are the drivers who are getting reversed for this race 2. So that answers your question there, David. And I'm sure this is going to be a very enjoyable second race here. Especially if race 1 was anything to go by. So we're just waiting now for the session to advance. Here it goes. And I'll be able to update you on the starting order as it takes place. Okay, so here we go. It's going to be Dowie Tapper starting from pole position in the Zederick car alongside Pim Van Ark, and then Tapper's Zederick teammate Jason Muscat will be starting from 3rd place. Those guys are ahead of Wopke Hoekstra, who will be 4th, followed by Sven de Vries, Stephen Lexo, Michael Francesconi, Luca D'Amelio, Sebastian Kosmala, Adrian Faber, Danny Robbins, Fabian Walter, Craig Patterson, Tom Davison, Patrick Rochak, Lewis Bickers, Yanis Vorburn, Lorenzo De Chutis, Alex Turnbridge, Dean Vella, Brandon Williams, Giuseppe Saracino, Stefano Zanrosso, Manu Clont, Tom Lomberts, Alessandro Quinte, Tom Voss, and Harry Graham is P28. Rounding out the grid. So we've lost one driver, not entirely sure who it is, but whatever the case, still 28 drivers is a very decent grid size, as we always get with the GPVWC. And away we go for the formation lap of race 2, and that looks to me like much more spray than we got in race 1, and that is actually because the conditions have got wetter, and I know that because I actually see some drivers on full wet tyres. Wait, those tyres are updating themselves. Not actually sure if anyone's on full wet tyres. I think Adrian Faber in 10th may well be the top driver actually starting on those full wets. I should probably open race view back up and have a look. Nope, the tyres are magically changing colour again. I really hate it when they do this because then I have no idea who's on what. Race view can't make its mind up either. Okay, that's a shame. But I have a feeling that the only driver actually starting on the full wets is not starting on the full wets, as it turns out. Oh, this is confusing. Okay, I think we may all be on inters. I'm not entirely sure. I think we're all on inters. Whatever the case, we are going to the starting grid now. And the key drivers to look out for here are going to be, I think, Dowie Tapper and Jason Muscat. The Zederick guys have a good chance from right near the front, as does Pim Ark. And also look out for championship contender Michael Francesconi coming through from 7th. And race 1 victor Luca D'Amelio, who's shown us that he's strong in these conditions. And he will be starting from 8th position in this second race. So that's how it stands. The rain continues to fall as they line up on the starting grid. Once again, we will have 5 red lights that will light up and then extinguish, and we will be underway when they do extinguish. We're just waiting for the last few drivers to get into position. Harry Graham will be P28 in the driller's car. Oh, and Quinte is spun going to the grid. That's interesting. It looks as if he's going to be the last driver to the grid. That was an embarrassing mistake, but whatever the case. And starting from the pit lane will be Menno Klont and Tom Voss, potentially on full wet tyres. Now, the lights are about to go out. Go, go, go! It's Tapper leading, and Van Aert gets a poor start. It may well be a Zederick 1-2 into turn 1, and it is! So, Tapper leads from Muscat, and Van Aert doesn't quite lose a place to Sven de Vries there. De Vries gets balked on the exit. Through goes Wopke Hoekstra into position. And, oh, contact further back as we head through turn 2. Do we all get away with it? No, we don't, as off goes someone. Someone's pointing backwards. And it's Stephen Lexo. Oh, no. So Stephen Lexo and also Adrian Faber, who was competitive in race 1. So Lexo and Faber both off. I saw three people, from near the front of the order coming together. And it's all ended in tears there. Now as we sweep through towards the end of the lap, De Vries runs wide and Tapper's dropped to 5th. So I'm not sure how that's happened because Tapper was leading this race. But he's dropped down into 5th position now. What can he do about getting back at De Vries? Still drivers going sideways. Walter spinning. Fabian Walter pointing backwards. And Harry Graham is retired. He is our first retirement again. And more drivers off. Sam Rosso is off. Vella is off. Faber's off again, although that's because he's missing his front wing. This is carnage at the start. Tom Davison's off. He's in the barrier. No, not quite in the barrier, but he's off the road anyway. And at the end of the opening lap, it's Muscat from Van Aert, Hoekstra and De Vries. Not sure where Tapper lost the lead, but he did. Now through the parabolica again for the second time Versking up towards the hairpin. Here comes Tapper to the right-hand side of Sven de Vries, but also look at second. That's Van Aert under pressure from Hoekstra. Gets to run out of the corner, as does de Vries. It's very difficult to work out what's going on in the spray, but I think D'Amelio is side by side with Vauban further back. How's Vauban made it up to 10th? Wow! Jannis Vauban started right near the back in 17th. He's up to 10th already. Great start from him. D'Amelio is 9th. And what chaos at the start. Sam Rosso is off again. There's someone else off with him, I think. No, there isn't. And they are all over the place, especially further back. Another lap completed, and I think that Tapper is lining up to Vries potentially. Of course, they don't get DRS because it's just too wet for that. Tapper running slightly wide through turn 1, using the momentum to get closer to Sven de Vries. Here's turn 2. And now we have a slipstream straight. Van Aert coming under pressure from Hoekstra. Can Hoekstra make more use of it this time than he did last time? Also in the background, Tapper goes side by side with De Vries. No changes quite yet. They just don't manage it. So I think it's probably about time that I look back at the opening lap of the race and see exactly what happened to Dawi Tapper, as he was leading until well, he lost the lead into the hairpin. Muscat got past him, and they just had a little slide on the exit and got mugged by about 3 people. Also, the accident between the let me find the accident. I'm kind of worried that I'm missing quite a lot here, so I'm going to keep checking back to the live footage. Muscat still leading by 8/10 over Van Aert. And so, okay, never mind. I'll abandon that for now. I'll update you on that. It's possibly about halfway through the race. Whatever the case, Muscat leads from Van Aert, Hoekstra, De Vries, Tapper, Francesconi, Kosmala, Robbins, D'Amelio, and Volba in the top 10. As they plough through the spray, kicking up peacock feathers behind them. And here comes Van Ark. Sorry, Hoekstra on Van Ark. Goes to the inside. And goes through. Seals the deal on the exit. So Wopke Hoekstra now up into second position. What can he do about hunting down our race leader, Jason Muscat? I'm sure we'll see as the race progresses. I'll be keeping an eye on those lap times. Retirements so far include Tom Voss, Alex Turnbridge, Adrian Faber, Fabian Walter, Harry Graham, and Tom Davison. That's a lot of retirements. Goodness gracious me. Hoekstra gets kind of sideways there, but gets away with it. Okay, time to look back at some footage of the opening few laps. So Davison's incident, he spun and got collected by Brandon Williams and also Fabian Walter, and that is also why. No, that's not why Walter is out of this race. My apologies. Oh, Craig Patterson's in the wall from 11th. Big hit. He loses his front wing. And he's dropping down the order. He's going to have to make a pit stop as a result. That's a big shame. And to be honest, I'm expecting, actually, after what I've seen in race 1, that we're not going to be expecting any strategic pit stops today. Only pit stops for damage. Harry Graham's retirement appears to be connection related. He just lost connection on the exit of turn 3. So that's a big shame for him. Fabian Walter pulled into the pits and retired, I think. Indeed he did. We've also, Craig Patterson has now DNF'd from the race, I'm afraid. So that damage was obviously just too much there. And that's a big shame. Adrian Faber was caught up in the accident in the first couple of corners, and that was all caused by Faber, Kosmala, and Lexo all squeezing together and spinning off. But that's not how Faber lost his wing, actually. That was because he made contact with D'Amelio on the exit. Wow. Okay, so goes into the wall as a result of that. And retires to the pit lane. This was on the opening lap of the race, actually. Now I'm going to look back to real time and have a look at Van Ark, still on the back of Hoekstra. The two of them appear to be dropping back from Muscat a bit. Van Ark not quite able to attack Hoekstra just yet. De Vries very close to them, though. Two Enterprise Pulsar's car possibly working together. I don't think deliberately, because I expect that if Hoekstra had the choice, he'd be going for Muscat. Right. More retirements in the early stages. Alex Turnbridge went out when he spun into the barrier at the Mubor 1 curve and found himself with too much damage. He retired to the pits. So that was the end. Actually, he did exit the pits again, but found that they hadn't repaired enough of the damage. So that was the end of his race there, unfortunately. And Tom Voss, he is in the other GT RPM Omega Esports car. Oh, the two of them came together. Voss lost on the exit of the final corner and came together with Dean Vella, who couldn't avoid him. That's a big shame. Vella's still running in the race, but a long way down, I'm afraid. Back up towards the hairpin head. The Enterprise Pulsar's car with a filling of Van Ark. And they get away with it. That's good to see. Francesconi's got no front wing! Oh no! One of our championship contenders, and he also has suspension damage! How's that happened? He's lost at turn 1. Okay. As he turned in, he just got on the wet patch on the outside. He got dragged wide, and as he tried to rejoin, it just swapped ends. Slammed into the barriers. That's a lot of damage. And he's going to... Oh, he's going to go off into the gravel again. This may well be race over for Francesconi. We'll see at the end of this lap whether he retires or whether he can get that damage repaired. He's going to drop outside of the points-paying positions for now, I expect. Hugely disappointing for Francesconi, who looked to gain a lot of points over Muscat today. Definitely gained some in race 1. But it looks to me as if Muscat is going to extend his championship lead. He's crossed to the pit lane. Francesconi's gone into the pit wall. He just wasn't going slow enough without his front wing. And that's going to do yet more damage. That's going to cost him yet more time. Now, can they repair that suspension damage? Or is he going to be hampered with that for the rest of the race? He stops in his box. And that's going to be a long stop. Goodness me. Time to check out what happened to some other drivers earlier on in this race. Stefano Zanrosso lost it through turn 1 and crashed on the inside. And, well, we saw what happened to Craig Patterson. He did pretty much exactly the same thing and then retired. So that gets us up to date. We have 20 drivers out of 28 still remaining in this race. Francesconi exits the pit, and they have repaired that suspension damage, I think. Yes, they have. That's good to see. And Lorenzo De Chutis is off now. De Chutis has had a big spin, got over the sausage curb on the exit of the Mercedes arena, did hit the wall. That's quite a hard hit on his rear end, actually. He's going to have damage from that. Spun through the runoff area. And there's also been a coming together between Lexo and Bickers. Bickers lost it by himself. Oh, and Lexo just couldn't avoid him. And the two of them touched, and that's very similar to Tapper's incident with... Who was it with in race 1? It was with someone. So that's that for the two of them. As Lexo makes a pit stop that he certainly would not have expected or wanted. And that's going to drop him outside of the points-paying positions. Although still, ironically and unfortunately for Francesconi, ahead of Michael there. Not that it matters, they're outside of the points, and unless several more drivers go spinning off, they're not going to be getting many points or any points at all. Now, Sven de Vries has been closing in on Pim van Aert for 3rd position there. That's a scrap that's been getting closer and closer as Cos Mahler has just run off at the final corner. Leaves a lot of time as a result of that. And Rochak has gone off as well. Patrick Rochak gets a wheel on the got a wheel on the white line coming out the Satch curve and spun it around. And that actually puts Brandon Williams up into 10th position. After Williams had such a torrid race 1, he's doing much better at keeping it clean in race 2. And up into the top 10. And I should point out another driver who was having a pretty torrid time in race 1, but is doing much better in race 2. Is Jannis Volburn. He's up into 9th place. Nicely done from him. Van Aert also getting closer again to Wopke Hoekstra. So we're about to see more Van Aert sandwich action. Hoekstra, Van Aert, De Vries. Out and down at the start-finish straight they go. And the gap last time round was just, wow, 0.3 of a second between Van Aert and De Vries, and Van Aert's actually kicked it out a little bit on the exit, and De Vries is going to get a much better run here through the parabolica towards the hairpin. And here he goes. Tries to pass the Duchy on the left-hand side. Tries to hang it around the outside, and it doesn't work. Oh, there's contact. He's off. Van Aert's in the wall. Oh, golly. It seemed that... Sorry. Well, I'll tell you what that was. That was him trying to put the power down on the wetter part of the circuit. He was off the line on the right-hand side. Couldn't use the line because there was a Sven on it. And around he went. And De Vries did get clobbered, although it looks as if he's got away with it okay. I don't see too much suspension damage. And that is going to be much, much worse for Pim van Aert, who does have slight suspension damage, I think, and has dropped down to 8th position. Oh dear. Oh dear, to put it very mildly indeed. Van Aert now passing Kosmala back though, so obviously not too hampered. And gets back up into 7th position as it stands. And behind them as well, I thought I saw a change, but I don't think I did. Okay, ignore me there. May have just been seeing the lap counter ticking over. It is close with Bickers. Wait, no, that was Rojak spinning. So Rojak there got over the curb and lost it out of 10th position. He's dropped now down into 13th behind Williams, DeChutis and Bickers. DeChutis actually side by side with Brandon Williams here, gets up into 10th position. Does he overshoot it? Yes, he does, and you would have thought he'd have learnt his lesson now since he did that twice in race 1. However, this time it has actually worked for him. He's got that 10th position. Williams was not able to get him back on the exit. And that's 10th, going the way of the TCS off driver Lorenzo De Chutis, the Italian. So we're just over half of the way through the race now. And Tapper's spun. Again. Tapper's not having a great time of it today. He will be absolutely gutted at himself for making those mistakes and losing that pole position. Yeah, just got over the sausage curb, and that's, well, that's difficult at the best of times. But when it's wet, you've got no hope of saving it. He's now going to come under attack from Jannis Vorburn, but look ahead as Van Aert attacks. That's Kosmala getting back past Van Aert actually. Up into 6th position. So, Muscat, followed by Hoekstra. Then De Vries, D'Amelio, Robbins, Kosmala, Van Aert, Tapper, Vorburn and Williams. And into the pits comes Tom Lombert. Did he have a collision on that last lap? Not sure, but whatever the case. He may be... well, this is about the point in the race where we'd be expecting to see tyre changes if drivers feel the need to. Wasn't expecting many of them to do so, though. Especially since we saw they could run for at least this amount of time in race 1. Some of them struggled, but they did manage it. They may feel it's just better to run two sets of tyres to change partway through, and that is what Tom Lombert has done. Has he knocked his front wing off on the pit exit? He has indeed. Yeah, exits the pit lane, spins the rear tyres up, goes into the wall. Well, that's a retirement for Tom Lombert, I'm afraid. That's race over for him. That's embarrassing. But anyway, I'll leave that for now. Getting close for the final position in the top 10. Bickers catching Williams, I think. And the top 10 are Muscat, followed by Hoekstra, De Vries, D'Amelio, Robbins, Kosmala, Van Aert, Tapper, Vorburn and Williams. Then it's Bickers, Rojak, Kinte, DeChutis and Klont making up the remainder of the point scoring positions, the top 15. And Robbins spins. Robbins is off. And Danny Robbins, who was running in 5th position, going for his best result of the season so far, I think, doesn't get over the white line, just spins. And has to use reverse to get out of there. He's down into 9th position now, behind his teammate Jannis Vorburn. That's a big shame there for the Rowan GP driver. And let me just double check that actually. Was that going to be Robin's best performance of the year so far? Yes, it was, because so far his best results were 8th and 8th. So yeah, 8th in race 1 at Australia and Bahrain. And I've just figured out that the... Never mind, what I was about to say is completely wrong. Completely ignore me. So we're just over half of the way into the race. Lap 15 out of 22 now. So actually getting almost closer to 3/4 of the way into the race. And still we have 17 drivers on the lead lap, much as we did in race 1. Although this is a shorter race, so to be honest, that just shows you how much carnage we've had so far. Francesconi is still struggling, I tell you. He's not catching. In fact, he's out. Francesconi was not catching the point scoring positions. In fact, he just got lapped by Jason Muscat, and that must have been very, very embarrassing for him. And he spun it away, and he's actually retired from this race. So that is the end of Michael Francesconi for today. And that means that Jason Muscat will be extending his points advantage. And we've had another incident, I think, on that last lap, as Lorenzo De Chutis has retired from this race. And he spun it around on the exit of the Satch curve and retired. So that is the end for Lorenzo De Chutis. Many, many retirements. We had 28 starters, but we only have 17 drivers still running. And Menno Klont is now pitting. And I think he... Is he going onto the full wet tyre? I think he may have already been on the full wet, actually. Whatever the case, he exits the pit lane now. And yeah, I'm pretty sure he is on a full wet set of tyres. So taking a little bit of a risk there, but that's okay. As the race continues, it's been a very, very accident-packed, very accident and action-packed race so far. And apparently, according to David Young, Pim van Aert has just had a slight off. Now Van Aert is running in 7th position. I'm not sure when that happened, whether it was the lap before last or not. But yeah, apparently, oh, he did in fact. Yeah, Pim van Aert got it on the wet patch into the Satch curve and spun it around. And that's how he lost 6th place to Douwe Tapper. Okay. Sorry that I missed that. Indeed, that is a position that's changed. Rodrigo Carvalho says that he gave his bad luck to Danny Boy, as in Danny Robbins, who had that spin a few laps ago. Not entirely sure why, but Rodrigo Carvalho accepts the blame, so there you go, I suppose. The gap for the lead is actually closing now. Wopke Hoekstra has got it within 2 seconds behind Jason Muscat for the first time since the very start of the race. So maybe Muscat's just starting to take it easy, knowing that he can't afford to make any errors. Or maybe his tyres are actually starting to go off a bit. I doubt it, since he was able to run for quite a while in race 1, but then again, less time than Hoekstra. Intriguing. It was anyway. I believe we just saw a spin for Dean Vella on that last lap as well. Tagged the wall, although got away with it. He's currently running in 17th position, and I tell you what, at the rate this race is going, may well come away with some points. All he needs is for 2 cars ahead of him to retire, I expect. Patrick Rochak has also had a brief off that I think we caught on stream. A couple of, about a minute ago. And he's now coming under real pressure from Alessandro Quinte. And Quinte will be pretty disappointed with his day of racing. He was running 3rd in race 1 and could have had a much better performance, but was just caught out by the wet conditions, spun it around, and then got clobbered, and he's around again! Chasing down Rojak, and he's made a mistake. And Quinte appears to be struggling with these wet conditions today. Yeah, tried to accelerate on the wet patch and didn't work. Oh! Hoekstra's made a mistake. Yeah, Wopke Hoekstra missed the hairpin, went off on the exit, and through went Sven de Vries. So there's been a swap for second. I told you that Hoekstra was catching Muscat, and he was, until that happened. So yeah, Sven de Vries goes through into 2nd position. 2 Enterprise Pulsars cars swap places. And now it's up to Sven de Vries to start to chase down Muscat, and he's taken a whole second out of him on that last lap. More than that, in fact. Look at that. De Vries' last lap was a 124.519. Muscat's was a 126.568. Surely Muscat made a mistake. And that's brought the race right back together again. Indeed, it was a mistake from Jason Muscat, so the race is back on. And a race that looked to be very much in the hands of Jason Muscat is now very much back together again. Oh, he went off into the Mercedes arena. Yeah, just ran wide, went over the curb, went off, and dropped back. And now Sven de Vries is under his gearbox. And we're on lap 20 out of 22. This couldn't be getting much more exciting this close to the end of the race. Fantastic. And it's great to see racing like this. Hockenheim always produces racing like this. The weather always produces racing like this. GPVWC always produces racing like this. You've got excitement, you've got tension. It's all there. And Sven de Vries is now less than 0.6 of a second behind Muscat. Now less than 0.4 of a second behind Muscat. You can almost hear the clock ticking as the gap reduces and the time draws to a close. We are on the penultimate lap of the race. Brandon Williams goes off from 10th. He drops down to 11th. He's going to drop further than that because he's lost his nose. Oh, that's a shame. Williams is a driver who was doing much better in this race than in race 1, and it appears he had an accident at turn 1. Yeah, just ran wide, got crossed up, and knocked his nose off against the barrier. The leader's still close, less than 0.6 of a second in it. Dowie Tapper pits, he's lost his nose. So accidents even happening this late on in the race. It can happen at any time, and it's happening now. Dean Vella also had a little spin there, and Tapper's incident was at the final corner, the worst place to go off. Just got it crossed up on the exit. Oh, hit the wall at a very awkward angle. I'd be very surprised if there's not heavy suspension damage there. Final lap, and the leaders are right together. Meanwhile, Alessandro Quinte takes 10th place from Rorschach. Makes it stick, but goes wide on the accident there, side by side. But I'm going to switch back to the leaders now because we got De Vries right on the tail of Muscat. Going down towards the hairpin for the last time. Can De Vries try anything? I don't think he's close enough. He hasn't got DRS because, of course, it's too wet. Also close are Hoekstra and Emilio for 3rd. This is a brilliant finish to the race. De Vries puts the power down. Heads down towards the Mercedes arena. Tries to force Muscat into a mistake. This is where Muscat went off before. We're about to see the final split time, as I think we've just seen a spin for... Oh, Rorschach and someone else got together there. Whatever the case, back to the lead. Oh, De Vries makes a slight mistake, runs over the curb. The wet AstroTurf turf on the exit. Keeps control of it, just about. But that is going to be it. He's not going to get another opportunity. Jason Muscat holds on under immense pressure and wins at Hockenheim. Fantastic from Jason. And the winning margin was 0.295. Wopke Hoekstra is 3rd. Luca D'Amelio is 4th. Sebastian Cosmada is 5th. Then it's Pim van Ark, P6th. 7th place is going to be Janis Vorburn. And then it's going to be Danny Robbins, Lewis Bickers, and Alessandro Quinte does get that 10th position on that final lap of the race. And I believe that the accident that we saw towards the end there was Rorschach spinning and getting collected by Brandon Williams, who is going round without his front wing. Vorburn has just crossed the line in a fantastic 7th position. That is by far his best result of the season so far. His previous best result was 12th last time out in race 2 at Britain. However, that was his debut to the series. Danny Robbins 8th, Lewis Bickers 9th, Alessandro Quinte P10. 11th place at the end of all of that is going to be Dawe Tapper. Despite an accident later on in the race, Stephen Lexo is 12th. Patrick Rorschach is side by side with Brandon Williams towards the end. Rorschach goes off and spins but holds it. And Williams, without his front wing, is going off again into the gravel but holds 13th place. Just about manages to keep control of it. That was an exciting finish between those two there. And Rorschach is 14th. 15th, Giuseppe Saracino, a lap down. And then also a lap down were Menno Klont and Dean Vella. And our retirements, get ready for this, 11 retirements. Lorenzo De Chutis, Michael Francesconi, Tom Lombert, Craig Patterson, Stefano Zanrosso, Tom Voss, Alex Turnbridge, Adrian Faber, Fabian Walter, Harry Graham, and Tom Davison. So there you go. That's the list of finishers and retirements. And that is the end of race 2, but don't go anywhere because we have some interviews coming up with the drivers. And the first of those is going to be with a certain ST racing driver who finished 3rd in race 1, but unfortunately didn't have quite such a good race 2, finished at P12 in the end, and that is Stephen Lexo. Hey there, Stephen.
Good evening.
Good evening. So, Stephen, P3, you scored a podium.
Yeah, I was just delighted after the race, to be honest. That was feeling so good at the home Grand Prix to get on the podium again after Monaco. So, yeah, a bit of bad luck in the second race, but still very, very good points for the team. So that should boost them again in the team championship.
100%, yeah, and of course, last time you scored a podium, you were racing for Racing Team Schroten. This time, it's ST, and their previous best result of the season was 7th, so you've really upped the ante for ST there. Can you see yourself producing some more standout performances like this for the remainder of the season? Where do you think you'll be strongest?
In the dry. I will be strongest in the dry, yeah. I'm not the guy who's suited to the racing line, and in the wet you just have to stick on the racing line, otherwise you are just going straight on in the wet parts.
It's interesting you say that, because you are really able to make advantage of that changeable condition in race 1, and the time when you pitted was absolutely perfect. It really ended up working for you. Were you worried at any point that it wasn't going to work and that the rain was going to, I don't know, ease off or get worse? Did you have a backup plan?
In the first race, it was just going to the end, no matter what. I mean, the track was way too wet on the when you went off the racing line, so it was undrivable on the slick tires there. So there was no plan B. So
Okay.
yeah, in the second race, I don't know what happened in the second race, to be honest. I got smashed into in turn 3 on lap 1. And from that onwards, I was last on P28, and at the beginning of the second lap, I was in P17 again. So that was just carnage, so much carnage. And yeah, I had bad luck again when I got hit after the hairpin in the motordrome. I think I was on point to get into the top 10, but yeah, quite happy with P12 at the end.
Yeah, especially since you had that P3 in race 1, and I suppose you can't really have your cake and eat it. But whatever the case, fantastic performance from you today, and good luck for the rest of the season.
Thank you.
So next up, we bring a driver who very nearly took that race 2 victory there in the end, and that is one of our Enterprise Pulsars drivers, Sven de Vries. Hello, Sven.
Hey.
Hey there. So race 2, of course, is the exciting one, but let's start with race 1. How did that go for you, and how did it look from your point of view?
It was a bit of a challenge. I had to go into a meeting for work, so I couldn't practice, or I couldn't. Well, I guess practice not either, but not set a lap in quali in the one lap I was doing. I was in a meeting, listening to people, and trying to do a lap, so I binned it coming out of last turn. So we had to start last, and it was a bit of a task at hand, trying to go up the field. But yeah, it worked great. I think we had a good strategy. Root paid some good attention to the weather and updated us nicely along the way. So thanks to him for that. And yeah, some good overtakes, some good battling, and managed to grab P4, I believe.
You did indeed, and I think that was. I mean, you did a fantastic performance in terms of your driving, but also in terms of strategy as well. I didn't think it would work going on to a second set of inters, and a lot of people didn't manage it, but it really seemed to help you, and it really seemed to propel your race. What do you make of it?
Well, both Wopke and I were discussing it as we were about 10 laps in. We hadn't tested a wet weather tire, so we had no clue what their wear was. So about 10 laps in, we were talking like we probably should have filled up the car. But it worked out in the end. We had some good pace, just not enough to close the gap to the podium. But it worked out. I think it would have been better to fill up the car and just stretch the tires. But P4 and 5 in race 1 and 2 and 3 in race 2 is a good haul of points.
Yeah, and I must say, P4 from, what was it, 27th on the grid or 26th or something. That's pretty impressive, and honestly, that's definitely something that shouldn't be sniffed at. In race 2, you fought your way through from the start, and so nearly caught Muscat at the end there.
Yeah, I was excited to battle Muscat. I saw he went off. Otherwise, I wouldn't have even gotten close. I think I was maybe a little bit faster on the track, but he got such a gap at the start that it was going to be impossible to catch up to him. Because the difference was maybe a couple tenths a lap. But he made the mistake, so I was right on him. But Muscat's a very fast and smart driver. There was going to be no way past him in the wet. He's not going to fall for a dummy or anything like that. So I was hoping he'd make a mistake, or if I could get a good exit and try something. But I didn't get the opportunity, so I had to settle for P2.
Well, still, it was a fantastic performance, and I know I don't really get this choice, but if there was a driver of the day, I think you would be a prime candidate for that. Let's just say.
Well, thanks. I appreciate it. It was a lot of fun.
No problem at all. And yeah, good luck in the future races.
Thank you. Have a good one.
So next up, it only makes sense to move on to another Enterprise Pulsars driver, and that, of course, is Wopke Hoekstra.
Hello.
Hey there, Wopke. So P5 in race 1 and P3 in race 2. Not bad at all.
No, exactly. Like you say, started P22, so in the end, it's a great result to have. Yeah, just a shame that Sven beat me in both races, but in the end, that's okay. And I mean, he's fighting for a championship as well. So no, but I didn't let him pass. He was just a little bit quicker, and I made, well, especially in race two, I made a small mistake, and then I just let him go because I was like, no point trying to block him off and have the potential that we both crash out. So, um, yeah, but good all in all, I guess.
So you've driven quite a few cars so far this year, notably, of course, the Super League car. How does this car compare to the Super League car, and how differently do you have to set it up, especially in conditions like these?
Well, I didn't really have a wet setup or anything, but yeah, I think there are some like minor differences. I think the main things are quite the same, such as downforce and everything, but um, in the setup then in the driving you have a lot less downforce, so it's a little bit trickier with the car, but um, yeah, the Super League car has a lot more power, so that one is more difficult to get on the throttle quickly. So yeah, they both have their weak points and strong points, and yeah, I must say the driving is quite different, but I like this one a lot more, and I think it shows in the results as well.
So Enterprise are P3 in the championship. I think they're still P3 after this, although we haven't had the official confirmation, of course. Do you have a team strategy or whatever for catching Zederick and TG potentially?
Just drive and get points.
That's good. Yeah, that's a very good strategy. And I wish you good luck in future races. Thanks for speaking to us.
Yeah, thank you for broadcasting, and see you next time.
No problem whatsoever. So from Wopke Hoekstra, we move on now to our race 2 victor, Jason Muscat. Hello, Jason.
Hello.
So, Jason, you came into the leading the championship. Were you disappointed to find yourself P11 on the grid?
Um, a bit, yes, but I kind of knew beforehand I didn't have the pace in Hockenheim, so I mean my target was to be in the top 10. I was quite close to it, so yeah.
Well, it ended up working out for you in the race anyway, and you had a very interesting strategy. Not just you, but your team, of course, staying out on slicks when everyone else around you was spinning off and pitting for inters. How did you manage that?
Tiptoeing around. Yeah, we hoped that the rain would stop, but obviously it kept going on and off, and then we decided to at least make it a one stop while hoping that everyone else will have to do a two stop since there's maybe wouldn't last that much. So yeah, then once it was undrivable, we've decided to pit. Maybe a bit too late, but yeah, had a very hairy moment entering the pit. But yeah, P6 was
Yeah.
good in race one.
Okay. Well, it worked for you. You finished P4. That's not bad at all. Sorry, was it? It was P5.
P6.
P6. I did that at the end of race 1 as well. Sorry, but whatever the case, that put you in a good position for race 2. You got through at the start, of course, when your teammate made a mistake. That was a very tense finish, though. Talk us through how that looked from your point of view.
Yes. Until Wopke was behind me, it was safe. I mean, I had a very stable gap to him, going around 2 to 3 seconds. And then when I saw Van going through into P2 at the hairpin, I kind of panicked a bit and made a mistake in the next corner. It was really scary trying to go back on track because off track it was really, really slippery, like driving on ice. But yeah, after that it was really tense. Just trying to keep it on the racing line and not making any mistakes. But yeah,
You
was
pulled it off and scored a race victory, and of course I don't know if you know this, but Michael Francesconi had a pretty torrid race too as well, getting involved in several accidents. You actually lapped him right before he retired, so you extended your championship lead quite significantly. And heading into the next few rounds, you have I think the biggest buffer you've had so far this season. Does that give you an extra level of confidence, or is it still push as always?
yes, obviously having a handy lead is always good because you can always try. Now I don't need to really beat Francesconi, but always try to stay close to him every race. Um, but yeah, still a long way to go. So one DNF for me can change everything. So still need to keep my foot down, getting good results.
100%. Yeah, we've excuse me. Yeah, we've seen things like that happening before. Whichever the case, great result for you today. Very good defense at the end there to keep control of that lead and to win race 2. And yeah, good luck for the rest of the series.
Thank you.
No problem at all. So that is the end of our broadcast today here with GPVWC. Thank you very much to everyone I just interviewed, and also to all of you for tuning in to the YouTube chat. And also a big thank you to my cameraman, Alex Skinner, who we had a few technical issues before the race. Those were all sorted out, and it was dealt with very well. So thank you for that, Alex, and also everyone else who helped. And of course, we couldn't bring you a stream without a streamer and a cameraman. So yeah, Alex did a great job. Anyway, as I said, that is the end of today's broadcast. We will be seeing you in 2 weeks' time from, I have completely forgotten where we are. I think it's Spa, and yes, it is Spa. Spa-Francorchamps in Belgium. And for now, take care, and we will see you then. Goodbye.
I'm James Kirk. I'm Mitchie Hoyer, and you're watching simnews.tv.
It's gone off! Oh, no! Cannonball rolling! Who's completing it? It's gonna let oh, it's Chandler! He's going to pass them both on the wet part of the racetrack. Oh, he swings left and right, didn't he? Trying to put Morris up, Morris! Oh! That was so good! To keep up to date with the latest GPVWC videos, click on the subscribe button, or check out more of our exciting sim racing action by choosing a video. For more information on the league, visit gpvwc.com.